Do you know what I love? Do you know what I just really cannot get enough of? My only real source of Halo news coming from Mega Construx. Oh yeah, I mean, I don't want to see gameplay. I don't want to see the game played on the Xbox Series X. Who plays video games? So dumb. Anyway, as you can tell, I was being facetious, but even though I'm very frustrated at this being a leak or maybe an early reveal or whatever the hell it is, it's frustrating, but at the same time it's equally exciting because there is a lot of substance behind what we are going to see in today's video. A lot of it I can't wait to see translated in the game, so sit back, relax, and let's quench your grunty Halo Infinite thirst. Oh, and also happy 1st of July. We're actually going to see Infinite this month. How exciting!
Ultimate Halo.
Hey up lads and lasses, Fletch here from Ultimate Halo and welcome back. For more regular and top quality Halo content you are safe and sound, so by leaving a like and importantly subscribing, it helps me out a ton, so please do so. And first off, we are going to cover some of the smaller stuff and build our way up to the brand new stuff for Halo Infinite that we've not necessarily seen before, which is very exciting. The first thing I would like to discuss is the new Halo Infinite Warthog, and I say new, it's not that new, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We can see Chief and some Jackals, all very standard stuff. It's fantastic that we know that they're going to be back in the classic art style, as I personally prefer the Bungie era designs as a whole. I'm in the boat where I think 343's Warthog looks much cooler, and I'm glad they're sticking with their design with the rails along the front. I think it's pretty great. Another key thing to note is that these images have the plasma pistol, which is the classic design, but it's not just the design I want you all to take note, it's also the colouring. It's purple, much like classic Halo, and it's not red to signify the Banished. I don't know if that has some sort of greater story meaning, or if that's just generally how the Banished are going to go with their plasma pistol. Further to this, we can see the Chief, the Jackals and the Marines. The thing I want you all to look at is the SMG. It's very much the Halo 5 design, but the weapon later on in the video I want to discuss is something that I thought was the SMG, but isn't, so I suspect there's going to be a new weapon, so I don't entirely know what that is yet, but we'll discuss that in a moment. Next up, we have the Banished Banshee. I'm overall a huge fan of the design language of the Banished in Halo Infinite and Halo Wars 2, and my thoughts stand exactly the same for this Banshee we're seeing on screen. We can also see a Spartan with recon and the sniper camouflage that June uses. Then in terms of weapons, there are two here. The Elite is holding a focus rifle, which as we all know is from Halo Reach. From a sandbox perspective, I can see why they've gone down this route, because I've always said that the beam rifle and the UNSC sniper rifle practically have the same purpose, even though one has a slightly higher fire rate. So I think it's a pretty good idea to diversify them and actually have a different weapon instead. I don't see the point of having too many weapons in a sandbox that are similar. That's part of the reason why I also have a big problem with a lot of the weapons that the Prometheans use, because they are just very, very similar to humans, except they home on a little bit. I'm torn as to who this weapon also belongs to as a faction, because in terms of the simplicity and the colorization, it does seem to scream UNSC, but it fires out electricity, and from the illustrations and looping the handle, it seems to be a brute kind of thing, but much like the brute shot, it was quite similar in design. To be honest, I'm not too detailed on this, and I'm not certain, so we'll have to wait to see more detailed models from the actual game before making any judgment, but it's already an exciting time to view brand new weapons, and it's a cool little tease before we see the real things. I'd just rather see the real things, to be honest with you. Next up, we have one of my favourites in this drop that I'm very excited for. This is called the Skiff. It's a new vehicle in Halo Infinite, and I love the idea of it, and it merges perfectly with the Banished design language and its raw usability. I would say a good comparison for this vehicle seems to be a smaller version of the Shadow from Halo 2, but instead you are carrying a Ghost that carries infantry. The design of the Grunt is great. There is a turret on the top firing a green projectile, and both of the brutes are using the Mauler, so this is practically now confirmed to return from Halo 3 back in Halo Infinite for the first time. In terms of looking at the way that the vehicle moves, it looks to be a hovering one, much like the Ghost or the Spectre, or practically any other Covenant vehicle for that matter. And do you remember earlier on in the video when we were talking about the SMG? At first I thought this weapon in his hand was the SMG, but now I'm not too certain. It does look quite large, it looks like a pump action shotgun, and I'm not sure how much I like this idea, because I'm a fan of the older shotguns from the Bungie era, if I'm honest, and I feel like a render of the weapon would be much better to see what its use is. As far as I can tell right now, it looks fairly generic as far as guns go, but I'm sure it'll look much better when it's rendered and in first person. The next one is pretty basic, but it does have me asking some questions. First of all, the mongoose is of course back and is standard, and we can take a minute just to admire how great these elites look compared to Halo 4 and 5. They look like elites again, and personally I love the Halo 3 ones, which they remind me a lot of. We see the SMG again, which does seem to have a little bit of a blend between the new and the old, but it definitely leans towards the Halo 5 design. And I want to point out this Halo Reach style shotgun. Is there going to be 2 shotguns in this game? How does this one work in that instance? Questions, my friends. Lots and lots of questions. Now we have the Pelican set where Brohammer comes into play, and we see Chief again with the very same weapon, and it's been something that he's consistently shown with. At first I was leaning towards it being a UNSC weapon. It could be possible that it's a railgun redesign, who knows, but I think there's some evidence later on that says it could possibly be otherwise. We also see this guy again, the Banished Hunter, which was leaked some time ago, and it looks great. And we see a pilot with the Halo 5 pistol, which kind of looks like a Desert Eagle. And then we see the Chief with what is this new shotgun? Is it a shotgun? I just don't even know at this point. What is it? Let me know in the comments, for God's sake. We are finally getting there, you lot, but this next one is a Banished anti-air turret, much like the one we got to see at the end of Halo 3's mission, The Storm, and I'm down to take out some of these in Halo Infinite. I'd like to also point out the grunt. It's the Halo 5 art style, which is quite confusing, but I'm also guessing that they're going to have a mixture of different art styles. But I also want to point out this brute's right shoulder, and there has been a little bit of debate over this on the Twitter community. Is this guy wearing Locke's helmet on his shoulder? What in the world is this? But this guy has a name, and it's Hyperius. So maybe he kills Locke. Of course, that's still a stone that we need to turn over when it comes to Halo Infinite. We're not sure the story of Locke, what direction he goes. I'm thinking about maybe doing a video about it in the future and speculating, but of course time will tell with the event later on in the month. Hopefully, at least. I don't even know at this point. Now we just have some general shots of some characters, Marines and the Banished. We can also see this brute with the weapon we were discussing, so maybe it's a new brute weapon, who knows. We also have a Spartan with what I thought was the shotgun, but now it has a red dot sight, and I really have no clue at this point. Why would a shotgun in Halo have a red dot sight, unless that's a new feature? We can also see the battle rifle with one of the DLC sights in Halo 5. That's pretty much all we have in that regard. There was quite a lot to take in, and you can go to the Mega Construx website where it shows it all, but just bear in mind that a lot of what you're going to see on the website is also something to do with Halo 3 ODST, Halo Wars 2, even Halo Fireteam Raven, the arcade game. It will specify directly if it's all related to Halo Infinite, so just bear that in mind, and it does give brief descriptions on each item. It was quite a lot to take in, to be honest, and I'm still quite frustrated that this is either a leak or whatever the hell it is, because I just want to see the game. Apparently there is a report saying that at the end of July, the 23rd of July, is when we are going to have the Xbox event, and for God's sake, that is so frustrating. More time to wait. I know I'm being impatient. I think it's because we've all been sat inside for so long, but it's not good, and to be honest with you, I'm not happy with waiting that long. I will do it, I have no choice, but as a Halo fan who's been starved of news for this long, it's pulling my hair out, honestly. Then just regarding everything we have seen, personally I'm a fan of pretty much everything here. Not too sure of having the different art style grunts. That's probably the only thing that I've got a big question mark in terms of this news drop. There's something just a little confusing to me, and I want to get to know more about this supposed pump action shotgun that I'm speculating on. It's definitely a new weapon, but for me the skiff is the most interesting addition to all of them. It does state it's a non-playable vehicle for Halo Infinite, so hopefully it's something we can get on top of and ride at least. And if we can't drive it, well, you know, I would like to do something like that in multiplayer, have it like a smaller version of the elephant, but as long as I can jump on top of it, ride around whilst a brute drives it or something, I can settle for that as a concession because it's a really cool idea. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Interested to know your thoughts. Subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Jack Fletcher and I will see you next time on the one and the only Ultimate Halo.
Subscribe now to Ultimate Halo for more unfriggin' believable Halo content.